Thank you very much to every single person who has subscribed onto my channel. Over the last 2 weeks, I have gone from 70 subscribers on my YouTube channel to over 430. So if you have recently subscribed, thank you so much. And remember to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Give this video a like and make sure that you share this video with anyone who you think might be interested. Spam your friends, tell anyone who you think would want to also subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. I have also created a new Instagram page on my website. You'll be able to follow me on my Instagram at sheiscalledenvy. Today I am going to be talking about buy now, regret later, because I think, especially for me personally, no one really is interested in luxury fashion anymore, or they're not really interested in buying or purchasing drip, or if they do have any luxury items or goods, or they happen to be wearing drip every single day, this is something that they no longer are interested in this current climate at the moment, with the cost of living and also with the rise of daylight street thefts and muggings and robberies. It seems like as if people, either they once did opt for a maximalist kind of look with logos head to toe, or they are now opting for a more minimalist type of a dress. But it got me thinking that, are people actually interested in luxury fashion, and are they interested in taking their designer goods and wearing it out in public? I'll continue, because in this article it also says the moment that they read the headline that the influencer had her £10,000 Birkin handbag stolen while shopping for designer clothes. Nothing is more vulgar than the culture of using designer items and showing them off to the public as a yardstick or a measure of success. It's not worth the best part of the annual rent. It just seems like the information in the article and the arguments are not really well developed. So I just want to go into some very interesting statistics, and I do think this is something which is really important to talk about, because out of 2,000 people who were interviewed in March 2003, from a group of 2,000 people aged between 16 to 34, 62% of individuals within this demographic had spent money on designer items and designer clothes specifically in the last 6 months. 58% had bought expensive trainers in the previous 6 months. And 20%, which is 1 out of 5 individuals within this particular group who were surveyed, had taken out credit to purchase luxury items. 1 in 10 of the 2,000 people who were interviewed were using credit on a weekly basis to maintain this particular flashy lifestyle. And 30% of people surveyed within this group had missed a credit card payment. Despite the context of a cost of living crisis, half of young people are in debt. A third, 30%, have less than £100 in savings, and 1 out of 7 have no savings whatsoever. 58% of this group also feel very stressed and anxious about the financial circumstances. This survey was carried out by Claro, which is a digital finance coach. And just to disclose, this is not an advert. I'm not being sponsored by this particular company. So I have written a blog previously talking about the steady escalation of prices of Chanel's flat bags and the global markets, and consumers being far more discerning and having a platform where they are expressing their dissatisfaction of their purchases, and noting that declining quality and craftsmanship seems to be a reoccurring theme.
Why is my Van Cleef bracelet still tarnished? Like, Van Cleef, you're like a huge luxury brand and you should stand behind all your pieces. If it tarnishes, you should fix it.
Reflection in it.
And by the way, I was being very patient with Van Cleef. I feel like I literally was waiting 4 months for them to help me try to fix this. And now that it came back from the boutique, you know, being professionally polished, now that it came back and now they're telling me that there's nothing wrong with it and how like she can't see it, now I feel like I have to speak up about it. So the manager gave me 2 options. Either I pay $180 for me to ship this bracelet back to New York City to get it professionally polished, which, why would I do that? Because it just came back professionally polished and it looks like this. Or the second option was I could pay out of pocket to get this motif replace. Do not stand behind their pieces. They will not fix their products, even if it starts tarnishing within 2 months. And for it to be Van Cleef, which is a huge luxury store, I just expected a lot more better customer service, a lot better craftsmanship than this. It still came back looking tarnished. And also the manager just making me feel like I couldn't see it made it even worse. Like that just topped it off. And I have a question for you. If this happened to you and if this was your bracelet and you had those two options, either pay to get it polished or pay to replace the motif, what would you do? Let me de-influence you and tell you not to purchase anything from Van Cleef.
This has been coupled with the steady increase of luxury fashion prices. The reasons for price increases have been included in my blog post, and the reasons for the price adjustments and harmonizations is that the luxury industry in particular had been heavily impacted by the pandemic in 2020. And there seems to be a general consensus recently that buying and opting into luxury fashion goods and services no longer means you are getting something which is of high quality. And consumers are weighing in on this slowdown. The luxury industry has lost around 50 million of its consumers in 2024. 37% are shopping less for luxury fashion, and 66% are waiting for discounts and sales before they make any luxury fashion purchases. Many consumers have stated that declining quality despite price increases are a concern, and consumers are seeking alternatives in contemporary brands. With luxury consumers, especially those under 35 who are more price sensitive as they are very early on in their career, they are more conscious and more aware and value driven. They are seeking alternatives like resale and smaller luxury items. The under 35s are also demanding higher quality and greater ethical practices and greater and broader creative designs from luxury brands, and expressing concerns that over perceived declines in these areas.
Are made in China and cost only $5. They just add the logo in France and charge you 10 to 40 times the price. Close your eyes. If your Chanel cosmetics says made in China, will they feel cheaper? It's not about quality, it's about brand washing. Interesting fact, who makes Chanel cosmetics? 42% are crafted by Chinese artisans. We don't do cheap goods, we do understand luxury.
To know who really makes Sarah's clothes in China, let me expose their key suppliers. First, shoes. Their footwear are mainly produced by Yuanli Tongshu. For clothes and jackets, they are most produced by Tongli Clothing. Interestingly, they are also proved a supplier for H&M. Now, you know the truth behind Zara's tag.
Who are the suppliers behind Lululemon? Some of their yoga wears are actually from Xianglong Clothing and Huang Qisheng Clothing. And guess what? Both factories located in Yiwu here. And these two factories also supply clothing for Fila and Under Armour. I guess most of you know the price of Lululemon or other big brands. They sell you a legging pants for $100. And guess what? Here in these two factories, you can get them for around $5 to $6. Crazy! And what's even better? The material and the craftsmanship are basically the same because they all come the same production line. See, this is why people come to China and looking for the OEM factory, because they just can get the cheapest and best quality product from there and sell you, I don't know how much.
Your made in Italy Gucci 80% come from Chinese factory. They just add the logo in Europe to make you pay the price of 10 times. Close your eyes. If your hammer says made in China, does it feel cheaper? No, that's not a quality issue. It's luxury brand washing. Fun fact, the hand stitching your product, 42% are Chinese artisans. We don't do cheap, we do underrated luxury. Why pay 2,000 Europe for Parisian air? Same leather, same craft, just without the European fairy tale facts. Be a luxury rebel, you can shop on Chinese platforms such as Taobao, 1688, Tianmao, Jingdong. You can even go directly to Guangzhou, Yiwu, Quanzhou, Wenzhou to buy. Don't know how to buy, how to pay, or arrange delivery? Just PM me. GoNest to provide free shopping guidance and shipping services for you.
I'm so glad that China is letting everyone know now, finally, that your Birkins came from China. They weren't made in the US. And when I ordered this from China, they made it after I ordered it. So it was especially made for me. It took about 6 weeks to get. But if you want to see, it's got the name. Kind of hard to see. It's got the name on there. It's a little dirty, a little smudgy, but that's okay. You got the key and the lock. It's beautiful. I still have the paper on the bottom. Honestly, I need to take that off. But let's be real, like, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to carry a Birkin just because you can't afford 20 to 40,000 or more dollars. You can have whatever you want for whatever price you want.
That in this scenario, to use your metaphor, the US has the bigger gun, and so China ends up having more to lose from this trade war, doesn't it? You know, it can't sustain the loss of 15% of its export market, i.e. what you export to the US.
Not at all. China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't care. We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States. And we expect to survive for another 5,000 years.
It has been reported since 2019 when LVMH billionaire Bernard Arnault that this lack of artisan or knowledge or leather craftsmanship within this Texan-based facility means that the quality of the bags that they're producing is lower than what would be expected if the same bags were produced in Europe. It has been reported that errors being made during cutting and preparation and at the assembly points had led to waste of over 40% of the leather materials which were being used on site. Because of the poor crafted dead stock or obsolete inventory, many of them are being shredded, being taken by trucks for incineration. One of the aims and goals with Trump's reciprocal tariffs was to see if there was any way to reshore US manufacturing, because higher tariffs on foreign goods make imported products into the US more expensive. Brands and companies are encouraged to move their facilities offshore to the US, which is obviously something which is unattainable because the majority of the manufacturing facilities and manufacturing hubs are based in locations such as China. And China have got this infrastructure which is unrivaled and unparalleled. If you compare this to other manufacturing hubs or facilities which you'll be able to find in other continents, and they have got the infrastructure to produce quality goods en masse which they'll be able to distribute and export out of China and import into other countries globally. And as a consequence of the reciprocal tariffs, luxury stocks have dropped. Following the announcement earlier this month, some experts within the industry saw Trump's election back in November 2024 as potentially boosting luxury sales, as investors noted that the correlation between tax cuts and a strong stock market and the luxury spending would mean that there was going to be more disposable income for those who happen to be high net worth individuals. Due to the more drastic than anticipated tariff announcement, which had rocked the fashion industry, especially the luxury fashion industry in particular, circumstances have changed, especially with investors and the market in general. Just about every fashion item sold in the country would be hit with additional duties, as the US imports more than 98% of its clothing and about 99% of its shoes, luxury items included. There also seems to be uncertainty within the luxury fashion space in general, and the British Fashion Council has announced there would be a focus on commercial opportunities abroad in Paris. Prada has discounted how much they are going to pay for the Versace label, and it's going to be £200 million lower because of the announcements of the tariffs. The transaction is expected to close at the second half of 2025. A Louis Vuitton factory based in Texas, which was inaugurated 6 years ago by CEO Bernard Arnault, has emerged as one of the worst performing brands in internal ranking. UK Physical Conduct Authority has approved Shein's initial public offering prospectus, which means that Shein will now be able to be found on the London Stock Exchange. There has been a lot of question marks and a lot of concern about how long it would take for the China-founded fast fashion retailer Shein to go ahead with its plan for its controversial float on the London Stock Exchange. Shein has reportedly filed papers with Britain's market regulators. Shein are very hopeful and very optimistic about the British market regulators' policies, but I don't think the British markets or the UK-based fashion regulators are very confident with Shein's business practices. So it seems like as if Shein are trying to pull off a very clever business move with the significant advantages of Shein being listed on the London Stock Exchange. This includes access to a vast pool of international capital and a high quality advisory committee that they would be able to have access to, and having a respected regulatory environment which will see them as one of the true leaders within the fast fashion global community, which is leading to an increased visibility, liquidity and potential growth and investment worldwide. So therefore there has been a delay, even though there has been papers which were filed last year in June 2024. A date for a potential float has not yet been confirmed. The valuation of the float has reportedly been cut from the $64 billion plus it had previously hoped for. According to the Financial Conduct Authority, Shein is one of the largest fast fashion giants in the global market at the moment. One of the major advantages of the London listing is that UK is one of Shein's top 5 markets to take advantage of, since they have a significant market within the UK. This also includes, based on sales in 2023, includes markets in the United States, Germany, UK, as we mentioned, France and Japan. Shein has faced scrutiny over its environmental impact and lack of policies and regulation within their factories and third-party audits. There are also concerns about Shein's environmental, social and governance ESG credentials, particularly regarding their labour practices and supply chain policies. Because all Shein representatives seem to do when they are faced with UK lawmakers is to deny, or be completely incompetent with answering questions about advantages to their vast pool of international capital.
Shein and from Temu this afternoon to give us evidence. And Ms. Zhu, perhaps I could just start the questioning with your good self. Could you just tell us, do you source cotton from China?
So Shein is a company originated and developed in China, leveraging the Chinese supply chain. We have since grown into a global business with presence in over 150 countries.
But do you source cotton from China today?
So our suppliers, we do not obviously own any manufacturing facilities. Mm-hmm. We work with a wide network of suppliers. Our contract manufacturers, we have manufacturers in China, in Brazil, in Turkey, and we're obviously looking at the other potential supply chain.
In the products that you ship, there is cotton from China?
Like I mentioned, the suppliers we work with, they are based in China, in Turkey and Brazil. Yeah. And obviously, many of them are in China.
Okay, this isn't a trick question, it's not a complicated question. In the products that you ship, will there be cotton from China?
So the suppliers we work with, most of them, they're based in regions...
It's actually a yes or no question, actually. Do you think that there is cotton from China in the products that you ship? Yes or no?
My understanding, and also, Chair, with all due respect, while I understand that today's discussions about international supply chain and upholding labour rights and standards, I can only answer questions as far as my position and responsibility relates to. So I'll do the best I can to answer your questions. To the extent there are details that I'm not able to provide, if you would allow me, we can provide written response after the hearing.
Right, okay. But the first question is there cotton from China in the goods that you sell?
Chair, thank you again for your patience. With all due respect, may I please ask for permission to be able to write to you about the further questions you may have.
You can't tell the committee today whether there is cotton from China in the products that Shein sells.
What I'm able to share with the committee, obviously we comply with laws and regulations everywhere we do business in the world. And we have supplier code of conduct, we have robust systems and procedures in place and policies in place. And we also have very strong enforcement measures in place to ensure we adhere to these high standards that are expected in our supply chain. And we take these.
You can't tell the committee today whether there is cotton from China in the products that you sell.
As mentioned, Chair, with all due respect, for detailed operational information and other aspects I'm not able to assist, I will have to write back to the committee afterwards.
But in November 2022, Bloomberg found the presence of cotton from Xinjiang in garments sold by Shein on 2 occasions. Are you still using cotton from Xinjiang?
I think in answering a similar question earlier to the Chair, our position is the most important principle for us is we comply with the laws and regulations in the countries that we operate in.
So let me know what you guys think. Obviously, the last 2 weeks have been completely unpredictable. I think the Trump administration are trying to take the law into their own hands. It seems like as if there's going to be no repercussions for, engaging in market manipulation and obviously dabbling in insider trading. Is there a potential that global markets are going to enter a recession? Is this going to negatively impact the luxury fashion as well as fast fashion markets and space? And do you think this is something which us as regular people would be able to take advantage of? Is this something that you think would encourage and incentivize people to launch their own businesses or scale up or scale down their businesses? Start a conversation in the comments box below. Yeah, do let me know. And I just want to say thank you very much to every single person who has subscribed onto my channel. Over the last 2 weeks, I have gone from 70 subscribers on my YouTube channel to over 430. So if you have recently subscribed, thank you so much. And remember to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Give this video a like and make sure that you share this video with anyone who you think might be interested. Spam your friends, tell anyone who you think would want to also subscribe. Thank you very much for watching and getting this far into the video, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later, guys.